The first time the phone rang, I ignored it. I was finishing my coffee before work, trying to convince myself that today would be the day I finally felt caught up with bills, with life, with my own sanity. But when it rang again, this time with a number I didn't recognize, something in my chest tightened. I answered, expecting a spam call. What I got instead was a woman's cold voice saying, "Miss Thompson, this is your final notice before legal escalation. Your past due balance of $14,782 must be paid immediately." I nearly dropped the mug. "My what?" I whispered, already shaking. "Ma'am, I don't have any credit cards with your company." The collector didn't soften. "According to our records, you've opened 3 accounts in the last 8 months. All maxed out, all delinquent." I felt the room tilt. "That's impossible. We have your signature on file, Miss Thompson, and your address, your employer, your date of birth." "I didn't open anything," I snapped, feeling heat rise behind my eyes. "Someone is using my name." "Well, until we receive fraud documentation, these debts remain your responsibility." And then she hung up, as if she hadn't just set fire to my entire life. My coffee tasted bitter now. My hands were trembling so badly I had to set the mug down before it shattered. I stood in my kitchen, my quiet, small, rented kitchen, and felt the panic claw its way up my throat. 3 credit cards, maxed out, nearly $15,000. I had never even had that kind of available credit in my life. My job at the clinic barely kept me afloat as it was. My rent took half my paycheck, groceries took the rest, and the little leftover was supposed to be for emergencies. But I wasn't prepared for this kind of emergency. Identity theft? Fraud? Legal notices? I didn't even know where to begin. I was still frozen when my phone dinged again. A text from my Aunt Laverne. "Hey baby, I made some gumbo. You want a bowl? I'll drop some by later." My stomach twisted. Aunt Laverne had always been warm, loud, and sweet, at least on the surface. She'd babysat me when I was little, bragged about me to her friends, acted like she loved me more than her own daughters. But beneath all that charm, there was always something slippery about her, something unpredictable. She had a gift for making people trust her even when they shouldn't. Still, she had never done anything directly to me, at least not recently. A couple of months ago, she had asked if she could borrow my mailbox because that old building management losing my packages again. I didn't think much of it. I let her use it for one delivery, then another. Eventually, I told her she needed to stop because I didn't want issues with the leasing office. She'd acted insulted, wounded even, said she thought she could count on her own niece. I didn't connect that memory with the phone call. Not yet. I tried to breathe, tried to think. I grabbed my bag and headed out for work. But by the time I pulled into the clinic parking lot, I had 12 missed calls and 4 voicemails from different debt collectors. 4! My legs went numb. I sat there in my car feeling like my entire world was unraveling one thread at a time. How could this even be happening? I'd always been careful. Always protected myself from scams, always used strong passwords, always shredded my mail. So who could? That's when another text came through from my cousin Monique. "Girl, I don't know if this is my place, but you need to talk to your aunt. Like today." My heart stopped. I called her immediately. "Monique, what's going on?" She hesitated. "Nia, look, don't tell her I said anything, okay? But she been talking a little too loud lately, saying things she shouldn't." "What things?" I snapped. "She that got approved for cards she wasn't supposed to get, and that family don't mind helping family. And she mentioned your name twice." My mouth dried. Cold, hollow. "Are you saying she used my name?" "I don't know for sure, but the way she was bragging, I didn't like it. She was real sloppy about it too. And she said something about signatures." I felt my entire body lock up. My pulse roared in my ears. Signatures. Mail. My address. Laverne. I opened my door and got out of my car because I suddenly couldn't breathe sitting down. "Monique," I whispered, I think my aunt stole my identity." There was a long, heavy silence on her end. "I'm sorry, cuz I really am." I ended the call. My hands were shaking so violently I had to press them against my thighs. My aunt, the woman who rocked me to sleep as a baby, who braided my hair for school, who taught me how to season chicken properly, had taken out credit cards in my name, cards I didn't even know existed, used my address, used my information, used me. The betrayal hit so deeply I felt nauseous. I didn't even realize I was crying until the tears blurred the pavement at my feet. Inside the clinic, my supervisor, Mrs. Ray, took one look at my face and guided me to her office. She was in her early 50s, sharp but compassionate, someone who never missed a detail. "Baby, what happened?" I opened my mouth, but only a broken sound came out. Finally, I forced myself to speak. "Miss Ray, I think I'm in trouble. Real trouble. My aunt, she stole my identity. I just got hit with almost $15,000 of debt, and they're saying it could affect everything. Even my job." Her expression shifted from concern to something much more serious. "Nia, you need to get ahead of this as fast as you can. Fraud like this, these companies will come after you hard. And depending on what she did, it could even look like you're the one lying." "But I didn't do anything." "I know, and we'll help you however we can. But sweetheart, you need to understand, this could get worse before it gets better. Worse." As if to punctuate her warning, my phone buzzed again, another unknown number flashing across the screen. I stared at it, terrified to answer, and that's when Mrs. Ray said softly, "Pick it up. You need to know how deep this goes." I swallowed hard, reached for the phone with trembling fingers, and answered. A man's voice, stern, impatient, said, "Miss Thompson, this is regarding your overdue balance of $23,900 on the Platinum Signature card ending in 0442. My blood ran cold. 23,000? This wasn't 3 cards. This was more. So much more. My aunt hadn't stolen just a little. She had gutted my entire future. And that was the moment I felt something inside me snap. The fear, the disbelief, the heartbreak. All of it turned into a slow, burning fury. I whispered into the phone, my voice shaking with a new kind of strength. "Sir, I need every piece of information you have on that account because I'm about to expose someone." But as he began to speak, I heard another sound, a faint knock on the clinic's glass door. I turned, and my Aunt Laverne was standing outside, looking directly at me. Her smile was wide, too wide, like she knew exactly what she had done and wasn't sorry at all. When I walked into work the next morning, I tried to breathe like my chest wasn't still tight from yesterday's call. But the moment I sat at my desk, my phone buzzed again, another number I didn't recognize. My heart lurched, and for a few seconds I just stared at the screen, pretending I had some power in the situation. I didn't. I answered on the third ring. "Miss Turner, this is Progressive Financial Recovery," a man said, his voice too calm. "We need to discuss your overdue balance of—" I cut him off. "Sir, I told the last company I never opened those cards. I'm a victim of identity theft." He sighed softly, the kind of sigh that said he'd heard that excuse 1,000 times. "Ma'am, this account has charges going back almost 15 months. Someone has been using it consistently." My throat tightened. 15 months. That meant whoever did this had been living off my name while I went to work every day completely unaware. "I didn't open it. I need documentation, something to prove." "We can send a statement summary, but if you're claiming fraud, you'll need to file a police report." A police report? Against my own aunt? My mama's sister, the woman who used to braid my hair before church. My stomach churned. "Okay," I finally said. "Email it to me." I hung up and dropped my head into my hands. My cubicle walls suddenly felt too close, like they were pressing in on me. I blinked quickly to keep the tears from falling. Lord knows I didn't need my coworkers seeing me break down in the middle of the office. But the universe apparently wasn't done beating on me. Just before lunch, my manager, Carol, tapped on my cubicle wall. "Dion, can you step into my office for a moment?" My chest clenched. Carol's tone wasn't angry, but it wasn't casual either. I stood slowly, my palms damp. Inside her office, she closed the door, which only made my anxiety climb higher. "Is everything all right?" she asked gently. "You seemed distracted during the team meeting." I swallowed hard. "I'm dealing with a personal financial situation." Carol nodded, her expression softening. She had that maternal, calm air that made people confess things they didn't want to say out loud. "I won't pry, but HR flagged something this morning. A wage garnishment request came through." My knees nearly buckled. "What?" She nodded. empathy in her eyes. It's for a credit card account in your name. They're seeking authorization. My breath caught somewhere between my chest and throat. That's fraud. I didn't open any of those accounts. My identity was stolen. Carol exhaled slowly. I believe you, but HR still has to verify everything. You'll need to provide documentation as soon as possible. I nodded, numb. I'd barely processed the debt collectors, and now my job, my steady paycheck, the one thing keeping me above water, was at risk too. When I got home that evening, I went straight to the kitchen table and pulled out the printed statements I'd requested from the first debt company. I forced myself to look through them line by line: grocery stores across town, online clothes shopping, fast food orders at places I'd never been. One charge in particular made me freeze: a plane ticket. Round trip, Atlanta to Baltimore. My Aunt Renee had a daughter who lived in Baltimore. I felt the blood drain from my face as a memory surfaced. Renee asking me, almost casually, for copies of my ID last year. She'd said she needed them to add me as an emergency contact for an insurance form. I never questioned it. Why would I? She was family. She'd been there for birthdays, Thanksgivings, funerals. I trusted her, and she used that trust like currency I never agreed to give. My phone buzzed with a text. I almost ignored it until I saw the name: Aunt Renee. I stared at the screen, stunned, before opening it. Renee, hey baby, thought you're busy. Thought about stopping by sometime this week. My hands trembled. Stopping by? Like nothing was wrong? Like she had thrown my life into chaos? My heart raced with a mix of fury and heartbreak, so sharp it almost hurt to breathe. I typed and erased 3 different responses. Nothing felt right. Nothing felt enough. Finally, I wrote, "We need to talk. It's important." The 3 dots appeared instantly. She was typing back. But before her message came through, another call flashed on my screen. Another debt collector. I felt something inside me snap. I declined the call, shoved the phone aside, and stood up so fast my chair slid across the floor. Renee knew. She knew this whole time, and now she wanted to stop by. I grabbed my keys. If she wanted to talk, we were going to talk. Not through screens, not through fake sweetness, not through lies hidden behind family smiles. I drove with my heart pounding, gripping the steering wheel like it was holding my life together. When I turned onto her street, the sun was already dipping low, casting long orange shadows across the neighborhood. Her porch light was on. I parked, took a breath, and stepped out. Just as I reached the steps, her front door opened, and she looked right at me, almost like she'd been expecting me. Renee stood in the doorway like she'd been listening for my car, her hand still gripping the edge of the screen door, her eyes widening only a little when she saw me. Not surprised, just caught. And somehow that small difference stung worse than if she'd jumped. "Well, hey, baby," she said with a smile. "Too soft, too practiced, too normal. What you doing all the way over here this late?" I didn't step inside. I didn't trust myself to. I stayed planted on the porch like the wood under my feet was the only solid thing I had left in the world. "We need to talk," I said, my voice low, steady in a way that surprised even me. Her smile faltered. "About what?" I inhaled sharply, feeling the weight of every overdue balance, every threatening voicemail, every moment of shame and fear I had been carrying around like bricks in a backpack. About the credit cards. My voice cracked on the last word, but I didn't stop. The ones open in my name. Her face shifted so quickly I almost missed it. Something flashed in her eyes. Panic, irritation, guilt, something dark and fast. Then she smoothed it over with that same old family charm. "Tion, what are you talking about? I ain't opened no cards in your name." I reached into my purse and pulled out the stack of printed statements, edges wrinkled from how many times I'd gripped them. I held them up. "Your daughter lives in Baltimore," I said quietly. These charges trace back to that flight. I wasn't on it. Renee's jaw tightened. It was the smallest movement, but it told the truth long before her words did. She crossed her arms. "So because the charge happens to be in the same city as my child, that means I did something? Girl, stop. You always been dramatic." Dramatic. That word hit me like a slap. Dramatic was what she called me when I cried the night my mama died. Dramatic was what she used to brush off every hurt I ever brought to her. Dramatic was the word she used when she didn't want to take responsibility. I swallowed hard. Debt collectors are calling my job, Renee. They're trying to garnish my wages. HR pulled me into an office today. Do you understand what that means? friends. I could lose everything. She looked away for a moment, her jaw working like she was chewing through lies she hadn't fully formed yet. When she looked back, her expression had hardened. Dion, you ain't back and forth with you. If you having money problems, just say that. But don't bring that stuff to my doorstep. Money problems. I stared at her, stunned, heat rising up my neck, my hands trembling. You stole my identity, I whispered. You stole my future. Her face changed again, but this time, something cold and sharp surfaced. Do you hear yourself? You accusing me of a whole crime, Dion. A crime. Me? After everything I'd done for you? I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. You did this, I said, my voice shaking. I know you did, and if you don't tell me the truth right here on this porch, I swear I'll file a police report. Her eyes narrowed, and for the first time, her mask cracked wide open. Fear, anger, resentment, all swirling together. You wouldn't dare. I will, I said, surprising myself with how solid my voice sounded. And you know I will. For a split second, her gaze darted toward the living room like she was checking if someone else was listening. Then she stepped out onto the porch and closed the door behind her with a quiet but deliberate click. Look, you need to calm down. You don't know everything. You don't know what I've been going through. My heartbeat thudded painfully in my chest. So you are admitting it. Renee pressed her fingers to her forehead, pacing a small, tight circle on the porch. I ain't admitting nothing, but life get hard sometimes. People do what they gotta do. I froze, every piece of me going still. People do what they gotta do. That wasn't an excuse. That was a confession hidden inside a shrug. Renee, I whispered. How could you? She threw her hands up, her voice rising. You think you're the only one struggling? You think you're the only one who needed help? I was drowning. Everything was falling apart. I couldn't keep up with bills and you took my name. I cut in, my voice trembling with heartbreak. You used me. She figured you'd be fine, she said. You got that good job, always saving, always careful. I thought you could bounce back. Bounce back. Lose everything quietly? Suffer invisibly? Pay for the choices she made? My niece felt weak. I can't believe this, I whispered. You didn't even care what it would do to me. Her expression hardened again, anger replacing guilt. Well, what you want me to say now, huh? You here, you mad, you want me to fix it, but I can't magic money out the air. You can start by admitting what you did. She stepped closer, her tone turning threatening soft. If you file a police report, you gonna blow up this whole family. You ready for that? You ready for what Mama Side gonna say? You ready for your cousins to treat you like the bad guy? My breath hitched. She wasn't appealing to love. She was appealing to shame. And then she said the words that made my stomach twist. Ain't nobody gonna side with you anyway. I stared at her, stunned, silent. Renee turned, hand on the doorknob, ready to end the conversation like it was nothing but a nuisance. But before she could go inside, my phone rang. Not a debt collector, not my job. It was my little sister, Camille. Her voice came through shaky, frightened. Dion, something's happening. You need to come home right now. My whole body went cold. I didn't even respond to Renee. The second Camille's trembling voice hit my ear, I turned and ran down the porch steps so fast I almost slipped. My hand shook as I fumbled with the car door. I could still hear Camille's urgent breathing in my mind even after the call ended. What happened? I'd asked her, heart pounding. Her voice had wavered. Just come, please. Those words alone were enough to send terror slicing through my chest. My drive home blurred into street lights and shaky breaths. I kept replaying Camille's tone, thin, cracked, barely holding together. Camille didn't scare easy. She was always the calm one, the level-headed one, the one who talked me down from ledges I didn't even admit I was standing on. So if she was afraid, something was wrong, something big. By the time I pulled onto our street, my pulse was thudding in my ears. Camille was standing outside the apartment building, hugging her arms around herself like she was trying to hold her body together. When she saw my car, she rushed forward. What happened? I whispered, stepping out before the engine fully stopped. She didn't answer at first. She just pressed her palms to her face, then dragged them down slowly, revealing the fear sitting heavy in her eyes. The landlord came by, she finally said, voice breaking. He posted an eviction notice. My knees buckled. What? I breathed. Why? We're up to date. No, we're not, she whispered. Diane, the rent check bounced. My stomach flipped violently. That's impossible. I paid online. I paid early. Then it hit me. The garnishment, the debt collection agencies, the frozen accounts flagged for fraudulent activity. My bank had put a hold on outgoing payments. I grabbed my head, feeling the world tilt sideways. Oh God, Camille, this is because of all that identity theft mess. The bank must have locked my account for verification. I didn't know. Camille's eyes softened with empathy, but fear still trembled in her voice. I'm not mad at you, but the landlord said if he doesn't get payment by Friday, he'll file the paperwork. Friday. 3 days. 3 days to fix a problem I didn't create. 3 days before everything crashed down completely. I pressed a shaking hand to my forehead. Did he say anything else? Camille nodded, swallowing. Yeah, he said if it happens again, he won't renew our lease at all. My breath came out uneven. Camille and I had built something stable together. After Mama died, we promised each other we'd always keep a home, somewhere warm, somewhere safe, somewhere that felt like more than survival. And now it was slipping through our fingers because my aunt decided her needs mattered more than my life. I'm so sorry, I whispered, my voice cracking. Camille stepped closer and squeezed my hand. Don't apologize. This isn't your fault, but we gotta figure something out. I nodded, but my mind was already racing. Between the garnishment attempts, frozen accounts, and fraudulent balances, my paycheck wasn't landing correctly. I had no access to the funds I needed. I need to go to the bank first thing tomorrow. And then the police station. Camille's face tightened. You're really gonna report her? I exhaled slowly. I don't have a choice anymore. Before Camille could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and frowned. It's the landlord. I felt my breath hitch. Answer it. She put it on speaker. Hello? Camille. This is voice coming through flat and irritated. Sorry to bother you again, but I checked the system after our conversation. It looks like your sister's account has had multiple flagged issues. Until she clears those, the bank won't validate the payment. I closed my eyes tight. He continued. If this isn't resolved by end of day Friday, you'll both need to vacate. Understood, Camille said softly. We're working on it. As soon as the call ended, I felt tears welling, hot, heavy, shame-filled tears. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because my whole life was unraveling and I couldn't fix any of it fast enough. Diane, Camille said gently, we're not gonna fall apart. We'll handle this. I nodded, but inside I felt like a cracked vase, standing only because I hadn't completely shattered yet. We went upstairs and Camille made tea trying to ground us both, but my mind was a storm. I barely heard her when she talked. Every time I tried to breathe, a new wave of panic hit me. Finally, Camille reached across the table and touched my hand. I know you don't want to hear this, but you need help. You need a lawyer, someone who deals with identity theft cases. I looked up at her, drained. Lawyers cost money. I know. She squeezed my hand, but losing our home costs more. Her words hit hard, because she was right. Every second I hesitated, the mess grew bigger. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't a debt collector. It was HR. A voicemail. My stomach dropped. I pressed play. Hello, Miss Turner. This is HR calling with an urgent update. Please return our call first thing in the morning. It concerns your employment status. My blood ran cold. Employment status. Camille's hand covered her mouth. Oh my God, she whispered. Diane. I stared at my phone, my heart pounding so violently I could feel it in my fingertips. If my job was in jeopardy too, I didn't know how much more I could lose. But the universe wasn't done, because as soon as the voicemail ended, another text came in from Renee. Renee, you need to stop causing problems. If you go to the police, you regret it. My breath caught. She wasn't apologizing. She was threatening me. I stared at the screen, frozen. And then the porch light outside flicked on. But neither Camille nor I had turned it on. Camille and I both froze when the porch light flicked on. For a full breath, neither of us moved. The apartment was quiet, eerily quiet, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and Camille's shaky inhale. Slowly, I stood from the kitchen table, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was echoing inside my chest. Did you turn that on earlier? I whispered. Camille shook her head. No, I haven't touched it since yesterday. A chill crept up the back of my neck. Our landlord never came by this late, and we didn't have motion sensors. Whoever had turned on that light was either right outside or had been outside long enough for the automatic timer to catch. I moved cautiously toward the window beside the door, Camille right behind me. I pulled the curtain back just an inch. The soft yellow glow from the porch light spilled across the walkway. Empty. No movement, no shadows, No reason for the hairs on my arms to be standing straight up. Then my phone buzzed again. A second text from Renee. Renee, you need to stop all this foolishness. Don't make me handle this another way. My heart jolted. Another way? What did that even mean? Camille leaned over my shoulder. She's threatening you now? Oh, hell no. Her anger was rising, which made mine rise too, but in a different direction. Hers was hot and ready to fight. Mine was cold, tight, coiled like a spring pulled past its limit. She knows she's guilty, I whispered. That's why she's panicking. Camille pressed her lips together. Dion, you need to take screenshots of these messages. Every single one. Save them somewhere outside your phone too. I nodded, doing exactly that. For the first time, I felt something shift inside me, like all the fear I'd been carrying was being pushed aside by something sharper, something clearer. But even as that determination formed, a shadow moved across the porch. I swear my heart stopped. Camille gasped, "Somebody's out there!" We both ducked away from the window. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped my phone. "Call the police," I whispered. "No, wait." Camille grabbed my wrist. "Look," she pointed at the window. The shadow moved again, but this time I recognized the familiar shuffle, the bowed shoulders, the slow step. "Is that," Camille whispered, "Mr. Harris?" I breathed in. "Our 72-year-old neighbor from across the walkway." Relief flooded through me so quickly my knees nearly buckled again. He knocked lightly, the kind of knock older folks use when they don't want to scare you. Camille rushed to open the door before he could knock again. "Evening, girls," he said, adjusting his cap. "Sorry for coming by so late. I didn't know if y'all were awake." "We're fine," Camille said gently. "What's going on?" He glanced over his shoulder, then leaned in slightly. "I just wanted to let you know, somebody was standing outside your door earlier." My stomach dropped. "Earlier? When?" "Maybe 10, 15 minutes ago. He came out to put some trash on the curb and I saw a woman standing there. She was on her phone, talking fast. She left quick when she saw me watching." My breath hitched. "What did she look like?" He scratched his chin. Hard to say with the porch light off at the time, but she had on a long black coat, short hair, maybe late 40s, early 50s. My head spun. "That sounds like—" "Don't say it," Camille warned, knowing where my thoughts were heading before I even finished them. But it didn't matter. I knew. Renee. It had to be. Mr. Harris's eyes softened. "Didn't mean to scare y'all. Just thought you should know." "Thank you," I breathed. "Really?" He nodded, tipped his cap, and shuffled away. As soon as the door closed, Camille grabbed my arms, eyes wide. "She showed up here! Dion, she's bold! You need to protect yourself!" "I know," I whispered, my voice breaking, "but we can't call the cops on a shadow. We need hard proof." Camille exhaled shakily. "Then we need cameras, something. We can't be sitting ducks." I sank into the nearest chair, my hands covering my face. I can't believe she's doing this. She stole my identity, she wrecked my finances, and now she's showing up at our home? "She's scared," Camille said flatly. "Guilty people get reckless, desperate." I looked up at her. "She threatened me, Camille. Twice, and we'll document every threat. But tomorrow, you're going to HR, the bank, the police station, and a lawyer if we can find one that won't charge up front." Her voice grew firm. "You're fighting this." "I know. I have to." But inside, fear twisted in my gut. If Renee was bold enough to show up at my doorstep now, what else was she capable of? Camille sat beside me, her voice softening. "We'll get through this, I promise." I wanted so badly to believe her. But then my phone buzzed again. This time, not a text. A voicemail from an unknown number. I pressed play. A distorted voice whispered, "Stop digging. You don't know who you're messing with." My whole body went cold. Camille grabbed my hand. "Dion, who was that?" I didn't know. But one thing was clear. This was no longer just about debt. This was becoming dangerous, and I was nowhere near the bottom of the truth, because whoever sent that message was not Renee.
The voicemail ended, but the silence that followed was louder than the voice itself. Camille covered her mouth with both hands. "Dion, that wasn't your aunt." "I know," I whispered, my throat tight. My mind raced in every direction at once. The voice was disguised, mechanically altered, low, distorted, but the words, those were deliberate, targeted, confident. like someone who wasn't afraid of being traced or someone who knew they wouldn't be. I replayed the message, hoping I'd misheard, but the same chilling warning echoed again. Stop digging. You don't know who you're messing with. My fingers trembled around the phone. Camille stood abruptly, pacing the living room. Okay, no, absolutely not. This is going too far. This is beyond some family drama, beyond identity theft, beyond whatever the hell this is. I closed my eyes, forcing my breath to steady. You're right. And why an unknown number? Why a voice changer? Why show up here? Why now? I don't know. But the dread in my stomach told me I'd been right to fear this wasn't just Renee acting alone. Camille stopped pacing and turned to me with a seriousness I'd never seen on her face. You need to tell the police everything, not tomorrow, tonight. And say what? I whispered. A woman might have stood outside my door? A distorted voice called me? They'll say it's a prank call or that I'm overreacting. They barely took me seriously when it was just the credit cards. Camille stepped closer, her voice soft. Something's happening, Dion. Something big. And you're in the middle of it. I didn't respond because I already knew. The truth was clawing at the edges of my mind, and I'd been trying to ignore it since the day the debt collector first called. Identity theft rarely happens randomly. Someone benefits, someone gets access, someone profits. But when Renee stole my identity, what did she gain? Just debt? Just chaos? Just stress? No, there was something more. My phone buzzed again. A sharp vibration that made both of us jump. Camille grabbed my wrist. Don't answer that. But the screen didn't show a call or text. It was an email notification. Subject: final auto pay reminder. Balance drafting tonight. My stomach dropped. It was from an account I didn't even know existed. I clicked it open with shaking hands. A bank I'd never used. An account number I didn't recognize. A loan for nearly $12,000. And my name at the top. But the worst part? The money had been deposited 2 months ago, directly into an account belonging to someone else. Not Renee, not me. Someone entirely unknown. A chill crawled down my spine. Camille leaned over my shoulder. Who the hell is that? That's not your aunt's name. No, it wasn't. The name was blurred slightly in the preview, but the last name was unmistakable. Sharp, bold, almost taunting. Harris. Camille froze. Wait, like Mr. Harris? No, I whispered, zooming in. The spelling is different, but still, coincidence. I muttered, except my voice wavered, because deep down it didn't feel like coincidence at all. My phone pinged again. Another email, this one with a single line. You're looking in the wrong direction. No signature. No return address, just that message. My breath hitched. They're watching me. Camille's eyes widened. Watching how? How do they know you opened the loan email? I didn't answer, because out of the corner of my eye, the tiny green light beside my laptop's webcam flicked on, just for 1 second, then blinked off. Camille saw it too. Oh my God. I slammed the laptop shut so fast it echoed. My heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear myself whisper, "Someone hacked me." Camille grabbed the back of a chair to steady herself. Dion, this is more than identity theft. Someone's using you, or using your aunt, or using both of you. But I barely heard her, because suddenly something clicked. A memory, faint, distant. Something I hadn't thought about in years. Renee sitting at my grandmother's kitchen table, whispering on the phone, saying a name I didn't recognize back then, but I recognized it now. It was the same name on the loan deposit, the same name tied to my stolen identity, the same name hidden behind the threats. My chest tightened. Camille, I think I know who's behind this. She stared at me. Who? I swallowed hard, the words trembling as they left my mouth. Someone my aunt owes money to. Someone dangerous. Someone she never should have gotten involved with. Camille's face paled. And now they want you. No, I whispered. They want the money. Then why threaten you? I closed my eyes. Because they think I know where Renee is. But you don't. I know. But they don't believe that. Camille backed away slowly, fear creeping across her face. What are you going to do? I looked at the closed laptop, at the phone still buzzing, at the porch light still glowing outside. I'm going to find Renee, I said quietly. Tonight? No, I said, shaking my head. Tonight, I hide. A knock echoed suddenly from the door. Hard, sharp, twice. We both froze. Camille whispered, Dion, does your aunt know where you live? Yes. Then who else knows? I swallowed, dread curling deep in my chest. Whoever hacked me.
The knocking didn't stop. It came again. 2 sharp, deliberate strikes against the door. Not frantic, not polite, controlled. Someone announcing themselves without speaking. Camille's hand flew to her chest. Dion, don't go near that door. I'm not, I whispered. Even though my legs felt like they were glued to the floor, another knock, 2 taps, a pause, 2 more, like a pattern, like a signal. My heart thudded painfully. Camille grabbed her phone. Should I call the police? I shook my head. And tell them what? Someone's knocking? They won't come. They barely cared about the fraud. But someone hacked you, and they'll say it's a malware pop-up. The truth settled heavy in my chest. I was alone in this. Camille was here, but she couldn't fight whoever was behind this. This wasn't a scammer in a call center. This was someone who stood outside my door without fear. I took a slow step back, forcing my breath to steady. Turn off the lights. Camille ran to the switch. The apartment fell into a dim, shadowy darkness, the only glow coming from the street lamp filtering through the blinds. The knocking stopped. The silence was worse. Camille whispered, maybe they left? Maybe. Or maybe they were waiting. I tiptoed toward the peephole, each step a drumbeat in my ears. Camille grabbed my wrist, her grip firm. Don't, she mouthed, but I had to. I leaned forward and looked. My heart seized. There was no one there. The porch was empty. No footsteps on the walkway, no shadow under the lamp. But something was wrong. Very wrong. Because hanging on my doorknob, something I hadn't seen a moment ago, was a small white envelope. Cold washed through my body like ice water. Camille saw my face. What? What do you see? I stepped back from the door. They left something. Dion, don't open it. I'm not bringing it inside. I forced myself forward again, cracked the door just enough to reach the envelope, grabbed it, and immediately slammed the door shut. The envelope was unmarked, thin, plain, too light. Camille hovered behind me. Should we call someone? Anyone? I opened the flap and slid my fingers inside. There was only one thing inside, a small photograph. I pulled it out. Camille gasped. Oh my God! My breath left my lungs. It was a picture of me, taken from behind, earlier today, walking out of my office building, holding my tote bag, unaware I was being watched, unaware someone was close enough to take a clear shot of me without me noticing. My hands shook violently. Camille whispered, this person is following you. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. This was personal. On the back of the photo, in thick black marker, were 4 words. She can't protect you. My stomach twisted. They're talking about Renee. Camille blinked. Protect you? From what? She's the one who stole your identity. But the pieces were starting to connect, slowly, painfully, like stitching a wound without anesthesia. What if Renee wasn't running from me? She was running from them. Camille stared. But why drag you into it? Because I was the easiest access point. They used her relationship with me. They used her knowledge of my information. And when she disappeared, they came to you instead. My knees nearly gave out. Camille steadied me, guiding me to the couch. Dion, she said softly, if they think Renee is trying to protect you, that means they think she knows something. I stared at the photo again. I think she does. And I think she's in danger. Camille took a shaky breath. So what now? The fear in my chest slowly began to change, shifting into something sharper, more focused. Not bravery, not yet, but resolute. I need to find her, I said. Before they do. Camille hesitated. Where would you even start? I pulled out my laptop, a reckless move but necessary, and turned it on. The webcam light stayed off. Good. I opened an old email folder, one Renee had once asked me not to delete. At the time, I thought it was sentimental clutter, but now it felt intentional. I clicked the folder. Inside was a list of names, dates, a few addresses, old messages written in code-like phrasing, but one name stood out. The same name from the loan deposit, the same name from my memory, the same name Renee whispered years ago, like a secret she hoped no one heard. Lamar Harris. Camille leaned closer. Who is he? And for the first time in years, I said the truth out loud. He's someone my aunt used to owe a lot of money to. Someone she said she escaped from. Camille swallowed. And now he's after you? No, I whispered, staring at the picture in my hand. He's after the money she stole from him. Camille's eyes slowly widened as the full realization settled, and he thinks you have it. My chest tightened painfully. A soft tap hit the window. Not a knock, not forceful, just a tap. Both of us whipped our heads toward the sound. Another tap, and then the faint outline of a person moved past the window. Too quick to see, too close to be random.
I didn't breathe. Neither did Camille. We sat frozen on the couch, staring at the window like two women waiting for the darkness to confess something. But real danger never announces itself. It slides. It watches. It waits. That tap wasn't the wind. Someone was out there. Camille clutched her phone like a lifeline. Dion, this is too much. We should call the police now. And say what? My voice trembled. A man walked past your window? They won't send anyone. Not until he breaks in. But what if he does? My throat tightened. That's why we can't stay here. Camille blinked, stunned. You want to leave? Now? I rubbed my shaking hands over my jeans. They know where I live. They know where I work. They've been watching me long enough to take pictures without me noticing. I held up the photo. They're not scared of knocking. They're not scared of warning me. They're not scared of being seen, Camille whispered. But where will you go? I didn't know, but staying here wasn't survival. It was gambling with time. I stood up, grabbed my laptop bag, my keys, and started shoving everything essential into my purse. Camille followed me into the bedroom. I'm going with you, she said. No, you're not dragging yourself into this. We're already in it, she snapped, grabbing my arm. If someone is stalking you, I'm not letting you walk out of here alone. Her voice cracked on the last word. I softened. Camille, you didn't sign up for Renee's mess. She shook her head. But you're my friend, and when someone comes after one of us, they come after both of us. My eyes stung, but I didn't argue again. We finished packing what little I had. I moved slowly and quietly, as if sound alone could provoke whoever waited outside. Every shadow in the room felt unfamiliar. Every creak felt like a warning. When we stepped back into the living room, Camille peeked through the blinds just enough to see. Her breath hitched. Dion, there's a car across the street. What kind of car? A dark sedan. I can't see the plates. The windows are tinted. Is someone inside? She swallowed. I think so. I see movement. My heart hammered wildly. They were watching the apartment, waiting. I forced myself to stay calm. We need to leave by the back, through the alley. Camille nodded and grabbed her coat. I did one last sweep of the apartment, my home of 9 years. I didn't take much. You learn quickly. Sentimental items weigh down a life you're trying to save. I grabbed only what mattered. When I reached for the back door, Camille touched my shoulder. Ready? No, I whispered, but we have to go anyway. We stepped outside. The alley was dim and narrow, lit only by the flickering security light from a neighbor's garage. Every sound, the echo of our steps, the distant bark of a dog, the clatter of a trash can lid, felt amplified, like danger was breathing against our necks. We hurried to Camille's car parked behind the building. She pressed the unlock button, and the lights blinked 2 times, too loud, too bright, too risky. Get in, she urged. I slid into the passenger seat and locked the door instantly. Camille did the same, gripping the steering wheel with white-knuckled hands. She started the engine. We pulled out slowly, creeping through the alley until we reached the street. Camille didn't turn toward her building. She turned the opposite direction, away from the sedan. My eyes stayed glued to the side mirror. For a moment, nothing. Then headlights flipped on behind us. Camille saw it too. Oh, God. The car eased forward. Not fast, not aggressive, just following. Don't panic, I whispered, already panicking inside. Just drive normally. Camille kept her eyes forward, her voice shaking. There's no way that's a coincidence. No, it's not. We drove through 3 blocks of quiet residential streets. Every turn we made, they made. Every stop sign we paused at, they paused too. Back far enough to avoid suspicion, but close enough not to lose us. I breathed slowly through my nose, forcing clarity through my fear. Camille, go past the gas station
and turn right. There's a police substation 2 blocks down. Okay, good idea. But when we reached the gas station, the sedan sped up, fast. Too fast. Camille gasped, "Dion, turn left, now!" She jerked the wheel, the tires squealed, we whipped around the corner, both of us thrown against our seats. The sedan followed, not creeping, not watching, pursuing. Camille's voice cracked. "They're chasing us!" My mind raced. Drive to a public place, somewhere with lights, cameras, people. Camille's foot slammed the gas. We shot through the next intersection as the sedan lurched closer, its headlights filling the back window like 2 burning eyes. "Dion, what do they want?" "Not me," I whispered. "Renee's debt. Renee's secrets. They think I have something, or they think she told me something. But you don't!" "Doesn't matter." Another turn, another block. The sedan's engine revved, closing the distance. Camille's breath came in panicked bursts. "I can't lose them." "You can. Just keep going." But the truth was clawing at my throat. We weren't outrunning them. They were pushing us, hurting us, driving us exactly where they wanted us to go. The car swerved closer, too close, a second from clipping our bumper. Camille screamed, "Dion!" I grabbed the dash, bracing. The sedan jerked sideways, and that's when I saw it. The passenger window rolling down, a hand emerging, holding something small, metallic, aimed directly at us. "We have to jump out!" I shouted. Camille gasped. "What?" A loud pop tore through the night. The back window exploded.
Glass rained over us like a burst of ice. Camille screamed, ducking instinctively as shards scattered across the seats. I threw my arms over my head, the sound of the gunshot still ringing in my ears like a siren trapped inside my skull. "Go!" I yelled, even though she was already slamming her foot on the gas. The car lurched forward with a jolt. I twisted around, my heart convulsing, to see the sedan speeding up, headlights blazing through the shattered back window, debris crunching under its tires. Another pop. A bullet tore through the trunk, metal splitting like paper. Camille was sobbing now, breath jerking in her chest. "Dion, I can't. Yes, you can." I forced the words out, voice shaking but firm. "Stay on the main road. Lights, traffic, witnesses. We need people around us." The city lights blurred past in streaks, everything moving too fast and too unreal to feel like my life. And yet the terror clawing at my throat was the most real thing I'd ever felt. We hurtled toward the intersection at the bottom of the hill. Red light. Camille panicked. "What do I do?" "Don't stop." She blew through the intersection as a horn blared and a truck swerved, missing us by inches. My stomach flipped, but there was no time for fear. Not the usual kind, anyway. We were in survival mode now. The sedan did the same, barreling through the red light without hesitation. No horns, no hesitation, no attempt to hide. They didn't care who saw. Camille's voice cracked. "Dion! They're trying to kill us!" "No," I said, though my voice trembled. "They're trying to get us off the main streets." "For what?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. The truth was too heavy, too horrifying to say aloud. If they boxed us in somewhere quiet, we wouldn't be making it out. Camille's hand slipped on the wheel. I grabbed her wrist to steady her. "Take a right, now!" She jerked the wheel. We screeched into a busy strip lit by restaurants, bars, bright neon signs. People everywhere. Cars. Everywhere. If there was any chance, it was here. But the sedan didn't slow. "Why aren't they stopping?" Camille sobbed. "Because they don't care about being seen." "Then, Dion, what do they want?" she cried. "What could they possibly think you have?" Something inside me cracked. Something raw, dark, and terrified. Whatever Renee stole from them, they think she passed it to me. "But she didn't! She disappeared!" "That doesn't matter." Another pop. This one hit the trunk again, hard enough to make the entire car jolt. People on the sidewalk screamed. Someone yelled, "Call 911!" Lights turned toward the sound. A group ducked behind a parked car. I spotted a police cruiser half a block ahead. "Camille, go toward the pops!" She nodded, gripping the wheel tighter. The moment the police car came into view, the sedan abruptly swerved into the oncoming lane. It passed us, fast, cutting between moving traffic before disappearing behind a delivery truck. Camille gasped. "Oh my God! Oh my God! Are they leaving?" "No," I whispered, watching the mirrors, adrenaline still thundering in my blood. "They're repositioning." Camille pulled up beside the police car. 2 officers were inside, mid-conversation, half-eaten fast food bags open beside them. We rolled down the window, both of us screaming at once. "Help! Someone's shooting at us! They're following us! They tried to kill us! The officers jumped into motion, stepping out, hands hovering near their weapons. Where? Where are they? The cruiser's lights flashed red and blue, washing the street in color. People stared. Some recorded on their phones, but the sedan was nowhere, gone, like they had evaporated the moment law enforcement came into view. The officers searched the area, radios crackling, voices sharp and urgent. Camille trembled violently beside me, hands still locked around the wheel. An officer leaned into her window. Are you hurt? Camille shook her head. I answered for both of us. We're okay, just shaken. The officer looked at the shattered window, the bullet holes in the trunk, the glass glittering across the back seat. This wasn't random, he said, jaw tightening. I almost laughed, but it came out as a broken exhale. No, it wasn't. They took our statements. We repeated everything. The chase, the knocking, the envelope, the picture, the threats, the fear. But despite all of it, the officer offered the same thin reassurance I'd heard too many times in the past week. We'll file a report. A report. Just a report. Like that would stop someone bold enough to shoot at a moving car on a public street. After the officers drove off to canvass the area, Camille turned to me, eyes swollen and red. We can't go home. We can't go anywhere they know. I know. Then what do we do? My heart felt like it was dragging the weight of every bad choice Renee ever made. We need to find her, I said quietly, before they find us again. Camille looked at me like I'd announced we were going to walk into the ocean. How, Dion? She vanished. She doesn't want to be found. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the photo from the envelope. That's exactly why we have to. Camille stared at the picture in my hand, then at the broken window behind us. What if finding her makes things worse? She whispered. My voice barely made it out, trembling but honest. It's already worse. I closed my eyes, and then my phone vibrated. A new text message from an unknown number. The same number that contacted the debt collectors. The same number that tried to authenticate the cards in my name. The same number I'd blocked twice already. My blood ran cold. Camille saw my expression. What is it? Slowly, I turned the screen toward her. The text said, "Stop running. We know where she is, and you're going to lead us to her." Before I could react, another message came in. This one with a photo, a fresh one, a picture of Camille's car. Right now, from behind, the shattered window, the officers walking away, me sitting inside. I dropped the phone as Camille covered her mouth with both hands. They're watching us right now. And they want me, I said, breath catching in my throat. They want her. What do we do now? I exhaled slowly, feeling terror twist into something else, something fierce, something determined, something that felt like my spirit standing up in the middle of the storm. We don't run, I said. Not anymore. I picked up my phone, and we don't wait for them to strike again. I swallowed hard. We go find Renee. We didn't speak for several minutes, not because we didn't have anything to say, but because neither of us could process what had just happened. The shattered window, the bullets, the text messages, everything swirled in my mind like a storm I couldn't outrun. Camille kept the car in park, engine running, hands trembling so badly she finally released the steering wheel and pressed them into her lap. "Dion," she whispered, voice thin and breaking, "we can't keep doing this. This isn't normal. This isn't something regular people survive." I know. No, you don't. She looked at me with desperate, glassy eyes. People who get chased by men with guns don't just find the person they're looking for and go home. This is different. This is dangerous. I know, I said again, though knowing didn't help. She leaned back against the seat and let tears fall freely down her cheeks. I don't want to die. I don't want you to die. Her fear echoed my own, but fear wasn't leading us anywhere except deeper into a corner. I took a slow breath. Camille, listen to me. I don't think they want to kill me. She blinked at me hard. What? They just shot at the car. They shot at the car, I said softly. Not us. They're not trying to end this. They're trying to push it forward. That's not comforting. I know. I rubbed my forehead, but it means something. If they wanted us dead, they had plenty of chances. They need me alive, and that means they need something. Something they think Renee gave me or told me. Camille wiped her cheeks, shaking her head. But she didn't. You said she didn't. She didn't knowingly,
But that folder she left in my email? I swallowed. Camille, she might have been preparing for something, preparing for someone coming after her. Camille stared blankly. Dion, do you think your aunt is mixed up in something bigger? The answer felt heavy on my tongue. I think she's been mixed up in something for years. And I thought silently, she passed the consequences to me without hesitation. My chest tightened. I'd spent years thinking Renee was careless, irresponsible, selfish. But maybe she was also terrified. Maybe she knew her past hadn't stayed in the past. Camille finally steadied her breathing. So, where do we start? Because we can't stay here and we can't drive around all night. I know. We can't go home and we can't go to your place. They're watching everywhere, she whispered. But then something clicked in my mind. Something so obvious I felt stupid for missing it. We need somewhere they can't track us. Camille frowned. Like where? A place Renee used to go. Somewhere off-grid. Somewhere only she would think to hide. I rifled through my bag and pulled out the old email folder I copied onto my laptop. Camille leaned in. You think the answer is in there? Yes, I said. Renee didn't leave these messages by accident. She wasn't sentimental. She kept these names, these addresses, because she believed she'd need them. I scrolled through until one name sent a jolt through my stomach. Grace Temple Community Retreat, Pine Hollow Cabins. Camille blinked. That little camp she used to go to when y'all were kids? Yes, the one in the woods outside Glendale. I didn't think that place still existed. It barely does, but it's isolated. No cell reception, no cameras, no neighbors. If Renee needed to hide, that's where she'd go. Camille's breath caught. But if you can figure that out, so can they. They didn't grow up with her. They didn't memorize the places she loved. They don't know her patterns. I swallowed. We do. Camille hesitated, chewing her lip. Dion, that's almost 2 hours away. I know. And we're being followed by people who can shoot, drive, and scare the life out of us without hesitation. I know. And we have no way of calling for help once we get into the woods. I met her eyes. And that's exactly why she'd go there. Camille exhaled shakily. This is insane, but it's the only lead we have. She closed her eyes, nodding. Okay, let's do it. Let's go. Just as she shifted into drive, my phone buzzed again. Another text. Camille froze. Don't open it, but I had to. The message read, Pine Hollow won't save her. A chill tore through my spine. Camille gasped. Dion, how did they... Before she could finish, a second message came through. If you want her alive, get moving. My entire body filled with nausea. Not dread, not fear. A deeper, colder truth. They weren't trying to follow us. They were pushing us toward Renee. Camille covered her mouth. Oh, God. Dion, they know where she is. They want us to go there. I felt my pulse slam through my ears. We're the bait. Another message. One line. This ends tonight. I closed my eyes, swallowing the terror burning up my throat. We have to go, I whispered. We don't have a choice. Camille trembled. But what if it's a trap? It is a trap. My voice shook, but my resolve didn't. But we walk into it together. Camille wiped her eyes and put the car into drive. Then let's go get your aunt, she said. The engine revved. The wheels turned. The night swallowed us whole as we pulled onto the dark stretch of highway leading toward the woods, unaware that someone, somewhere behind us, turned on their engine too, following, hunting, waiting. And as the light city faded behind us, the last message came through. A photo this time. Renee, alive, terrified, bound to a chair in a dim, windowless room. Camille screamed. I dropped the phone. The final text appeared. Hurry, she's running out of time. For the first hour of the drive, neither of us spoke. Every time I looked out the window, all I could see was Renee's face from the photo. Eyes wide, mouth gagged, terror etched so deeply it felt carved into her skin. She was alive, but barely, and whoever had her wanted us to know exactly how desperate things were. Camille kept glancing at the rearview mirror, checking for headlights. Do you think they're behind us? Yes, I said, but not close. They want us to get to Pine Hollow, to lead them to your aunt, she murmured. Her voice cracked. God, this is so messed up. I didn't disagree. The road grew darker as we moved farther from the city. Lights thinned out, gas stations became rare, civilization slowly disappeared behind us like it was closing a door. At the 90-minute mark, Camille finally spoke. You okay? No, I admitted, but I'm focused. Focused on what? Saving Renee or surviving this? The truth was too tangled to separate both. Camille sighed shakily, gripping the wheel tighter. I don't know how you're not screaming. I am, I said quietly, just on the inside. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Camille flinched so hard we swerved. Dion, don't touch it yet. I hesitated, then picked it up with trembling fingers. No new messages, just a low battery warning. I exhaled shakily. False alarm. Plug it in, Camille said. I can't. If they track the phone, charging might ping our location. She swallowed. Right. We kept driving. The 2-lane highway eventually split into a narrow, tree-choked road with a faded wooden sign. Pine Hollow. No maintenance beyond this point. Camille slowed. Are you sure? No, I said, but we're here. She turned onto the road. Branches scraped the sides of the car. The headlights cut through fog that hadn't been there a minute before. The air felt colder, heavier, like stepping into a forgotten world. The deeper we drove, the more the silence swallowed us. No birds. No wind, no other vehicles, just the claustrophobic growl of tires on gravel. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. One message. A location pin, right where we were. Camille slammed on the brakes so fast my seatbelt dug into my shoulder. How? How do they know we're here? We didn't even ping a tower. My stomach turned to ice. They're close, I whispered. Close enough not to need towers. Camille pulled forward again, slower now. This feels wrong. If they're already here, why send us anything? Why not take us out? Because they want something from Renee, something they think only I can get. And you have no idea what that is? I shook my head. None. Camille exhaled. Okay, then we stick together. No splitting up. No wandering, no playing the hero. Agreed? Agreed. Minutes later, the trees thinned enough to reveal the clearing, Pine Hollow. The cabins were run down, dark, abandoned. Roofs sagged, the old chapel leaned to one side, the picnic benches were half rotten. Nothing about the place looked alive, except the light. A single lantern flickered in the window of cabin 3. Camille whispered, Dion. That's a trap. I know. Then why are we stopping? I swallowed. Because that's where they want us. And we're just going to what? Walk in? No, I said, not yet. I scanned the clearing. The gravel was disturbed. Fresh tire tracks, multiple sets, circling the cabin like someone had been patrolling. Camille saw them too and tensed. Dion, someone's here right now. I nodded once. We're not alone. Before she could respond, a sharp sound cracked through the trees. A scream. A woman's scream. Camille's blood ran cold. Was that? Yes, I said, already opening my door. Dion, don't wait! But I couldn't. It was Renee. It had to be Renee. I sprinted through the gravel toward the cabin, heart beating so violently I could barely hear anything else. Camille ran after me, her footsteps crunching close behind. Then another scream, louder. Shorter, cut off abruptly. We reached cabin 3. My hand shook as I grabbed the door handle. Locked. Camille pulled out a rock and smashed the window beside the knob, ignoring the shards slicing her hand. She reached in, unlocked it, and pushed the door open. The lantern flickered. The smell hit us first. Dust, rot, and the faint metallic tang of old blood. The room was empty. No Renee, no ropes, no chairs, no sign of a struggle. Dion, this is wrong. This is all wrong. Then we both saw it. On the floor, illuminated by the lantern's weak glow, was a single photograph, face down. I picked it up with numb fingers. It was Renee, not tied, not gagged, not terrified, smiling, calm, posing with the man whose face was scratched out entirely. On the back, written in neat block letters, "You're right on time." My lungs froze. Camille touched my arm. Dion, what does that mean? I turned the photo over again, staring at the ruined face of the man beside my aunt. It meant the screams weren't hers. It meant the photo they sent earlier wasn't taken here. It meant we walked into the wrong cabin. It meant the door slammed shut behind us. We spun around. A tall shadow blocked the exit, and a low voice said, "It's time you learned the truth about your aunt."
The man stepped forward, blocking every inch of the doorway. Camille automatically moved in front of me, her arm out like she could keep back a hurricane with sheer will. My pulse hammered so hard it hurt. "Who are you?" I demanded. He didn't answer, just reached up slowly and pulled back the hood of his jacket, and my entire world tilted. I knew that face. Not personally, not intimately, but I'd seen it 1,000 times behind my aunt, in photos, in stolen moments, in the stories she told about a friend she used to have, back before she claimed loneliness was her whole biography. "Marcus," I breathed. His expression didn't change. "So she told you about me, not the truth," I said. "No," he agreed, stepping into the dim lantern light. Camille kept her arm out. "What did you do to her?" That made him laugh, a short, bitter sound. "Do to her? Renee's the one who did things. She built a life on lies, fraud, manipulation, and she dragged me into it for years. 10 to be exact." I blinked. "Dragged you?" He paced, slow, deliberate. "Your aunt didn't just steal your identity, Dion. She stole mine. My choices, my freedom. She tied my life to hers with threats, blackmail, and half-truths. Debt collectors came after me too. She used my credit before she used yours." My mind reeled. "Why didn't you stop her?" "I tried," he snapped. "But every time I did, she dangled something over my head. Some mistake I'd made, some moment of weakness she documented. She kept me trapped." "And you trapped Renee," I shot back. "No," he said firmly. "I rescued her." That stopped both me and Camille cold. "What?" He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and held it up. A video played. Renee sitting on a sagging couch in a small room, alive, unrestrained, shaken, but unharmed. "Dion, please listen to him. I messed up. I messed up worse than I ever told you." My throat tightened painfully. Marcus paused the video. "She wanted to tell you everything. I brought her here to force her to do it, but she panicked. She ran into the woods. I chased her, but she got lost. She's terrified you'll hate her. She's terrified you'll turn her in." I staggered back. "So the kidnapping was her idea," he said. "Her way to hide. Her way to avoid facing you. She thought if you saw how bad things were, you'd forgive her, or care, or something." It felt like someone was tearing open my chest. Camille whispered, "Oh my God." Marcus held up both hands. "I didn't hurt her. I didn't touch her. But she's been spiraling. She wants to confess, but can't bring herself to do it. She's out there somewhere, close. I can take you to her." I stared hard at him. "Why should I trust you?" He hesitated, just long enough for me to know he was choosing honesty. "Because I'm tired," he said quietly. "Tired of covering for her. Tired of the mess. Tired of watching her ruin people who love her." The ache inside me swelled so big, it almost swallowed my voice. "Take me to her." We left the cabin together, Marcus leading, Camille and I behind. The night was colder now, heavy with tension. Fog curled around the trees like ghostly fingers. "She's near the river," Marcus said. "She always goes there when she's scared." We walked several minutes until the trees parted enough for moonlight to spill across the clearing. Water glimmered ahead, and there, sitting on a fallen log, hugging herself like she was trying to stay alive, was Renee. Her head lifted at the sound of our footsteps, and when she saw me, she broke. She rushed towards me, sobbing so hard her body shook. "Dion, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to tell you." I held her, but my heart felt cracked open in too many places. "Why? Why you? Why would you steal from me? Why ruin my name? Why take my future?" She crumpled to the ground at my feet. Camille knelt beside her, rubbing her back as she sobbed. "I was drowning," she choked out. "Your uncle left me with debts I didn't know existed. I was losing everything. I thought if I just borrowed your credit for a little while, I could fix it before you ever knew. But it spiraled. And then the debt collectors came. And then Marcus got pulled in. And then I didn't know how to stop."
I closed my eyes. So you stole from me and hid behind lies. Then you staged your own disappearance? She nodded, trembling. I thought maybe if you saw how bad things were, you'd forgive me or save me. Or something. My voice cracked. I needed you to save me. Her sobbing grew raw, broken. I know. I destroyed everything. I stood there shaking, hurt, furious, exhausted. But beneath all of that was something heavier, a choice. I could walk away, or I could start the long, brutal road towards healing. I'm not going to cover for you, I finally said. You're turning yourself in. You're facing the consequences. And after that, maybe we'll rebuild, but not like before, not with lies. Renee nodded into her hands. I'll do whatever you want. I don't want to lose you. You already did, but maybe you can earn your way back. Camille squeezed my arm. Proud. Marcus stepped back quietly, letting the moment breathe. It took hours to get out of Pine Hollow, hours more to get Renee somewhere safe. And the weeks that followed were filled with police reports, debt negotiations, job hearings, and long, painful truths. But I survived. I kept my job. I rebuilt my credit. I reclaimed my identity. And somewhere inside all that chaos, I rediscovered a strength I didn't know I still had. This wasn't just the end of a nightmare. It was the beginning of me choosing myself again. And if you learned something new from my life story, please like this video, subscribe for more stories like mine, and comment down below where you're watching this video from. I truly love to know.